Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you live in Abuja. I am Olajide Bello. First, the headlines. Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation to jointly implement President's Directive and Cultivation Expansion for Food Security. Independent National Electoral Commission releases voters list for Edo and Ondo. Federal government to revamp cotton and textile industry. The meeting of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS is about to begin at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. Let's now join Najatu Tijani, our Defense correspondent, for the details of the Security Chiefs meeting. Naja, can you keep us abreast of happenings there and critical issues to be addressed?
Hello, Olajide. It's a bit noisy here, so I didn't quite get your question, but I'll just give you a rundown of what's happening right now, where we are at the Defense Headquarters, right here, where any moment from now, the 42nd Ordinary Meeting of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS will take place. This place is currently being prepared, of course, for that meeting, and there are placeholders, there are plaques from member states, the CDS, that is the Chiefs of Defense Staff of member states, ECOWAS member states. We have Togo, we have Sierra Leone, and it's also noteworthy that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which earlier pulled out of the ECOWAS, have plaques as well. So it remains to be seen if they will show up, if representatives from the ECOWAS, those three countries which announced their withdrawal, if they will show up. Now, it is expected that, of course, issues bordering on regional security will be discussed here today. Yesterday, Nigerians saw the Chief of Defense Staff, service chiefs, the IGP, and other heads of security talk about the ongoing protest in the country, which seemed, as they said, it came up, one of the issues that came up was a ripple effect of these ongoing protests, which seems to have subsided so far. But also, joint security will be discussed here today, counter-terrorism, especially it is also likely that here today the withdrawal of the three countries earlier mentioned, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, will be discussed because their withdrawal might have left some gaps, and it is expected that there will be a session on how to fill those gaps. There will also be issues of counter-terrorism, like I mentioned earlier before. The issue of counter-terrorism, which will, of course, be at the front burner, because these member countries, especially the ones that pulled out, have always had concerning counter-terrorism efforts. Recall that the multinational joint task force had these countries as part of it, cooperating with Nigeria and other member countries wherever the need arose, with lots of progress. Other issues expected to be discussed here today will be also political stability. These three countries which pulled out of the ECOWAS, of course, pulled out because of political instability, as a result of political instability. So today it is also expected that stabilizing the region will be one of the topics, the issues to be discussed here today. Another issue that is expected, of course, to be discussed is the members, the terrorists which have repented, so to speak, the strategy, their rehabilitation, what to be, how to reintegrate them, and of course, what can be learned from the sessions that they have, the successes rather, that they have gotten with the repentant terrorists. And of course, making it a priority to rescue those who are still in captivity, among other issues. Now, in addition to these three issues, one other thing that we can expect to be discussed here today, some of the chiefs have already started arriving, for instance, and of course their ADCs. The place is still being prepared, of course, but as I speak to you, Olajide, as we speak, we can see some of them arriving. I can see that the Chief of Defense Staff of Côte d'Ivoire is already here. And as he has arrived, I know that any moment from now, the others will arrive. I can also see the ADC to the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia. So these two are already on ground, and there's a roll call. We're expecting the CDS from Togo, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, from Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, from also Senegal, and of course, like I mentioned, Côte d'Ivoire is already here, Gambia is already here. We're expecting, of course, well, like I said, it remains to be seen if Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso will show up. So one more thing, Olajide, before I wrap up. The challenges that like I mentioned earlier, that the recent withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger may dominate discussions with a focus on addressing the security vacuum and finding ways to reassess and re-strengthen the security architecture in the region. Like I mentioned earlier, there is always a ripple effect where there is a gap in one place, and this is expected to be addressed among other issues. We've talked about ECOWAS military intervention as well. The chiefs may discuss the role of ECOWAS military interventions in maintaining regional stability, already mentioned. So we can't talk about counterterrorism, of course, without talking about training and retraining. That's capacity building. If there will be cooperation, further cooperation among the ECOWAS member states in terms of strengthening the military through training, seeing changes. For instance, here in Nigeria, we already know that our war colleges train a lot of our the military from member countries. At any given moment, they are always in Nigeria for training and vice versa. So it remains to be seen in what direction that will take. We've talked about revisiting ECOWAS protocols as well in light of the withdrawal of the three member states I mentioned earlier. It may lead to a review of ECOWAS protocols and agreements, particularly those related to defense. And then, of course, like I said, fostering partnerships, that can also be expected. And so these issues may form the core of discussions. Today, which is the 7th August 2024, is the opening ceremony. And it's supposed to be on the 7th and the 8th. So we can expect a lot of these issues which I've highlighted to dominate discussions, most likely on the 8th. So that's it for now, Olajide, as we stand by for the opening, for the arrival of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and of course the other members of the Committee of ECOWAS Chiefs of Defense Staff.
All right, many thanks, Najatu Tijani, our defense correspondent, for keeping us up to speed with the meeting of the Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS. Moving on, upholding peace, stability and sovereignty through security topped the agenda at a joint security press conference convened by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to address pockets of unrest by some protesters and the waving of a foreign flag by some restive youth among them. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
When push comes to shove, action must be taken, and this press conference coming amidst pockets of unrest during the nationwide protests aims to do just that.
And so we are duty bound to protect the country. We are only after those that are against the state, not those that are innocent. So I want to make that very clear. We will continue to work together as a team to support Mr. President in achieving his mandate of peace and tranquility in our dear country, Nigeria.
Condemning the flag incident, but addressing some of the demands made by protesters, including the immediate release of protesters still in detention, the security heads say these concerns are being taken seriously.
IDPs are being returned back to Kukawa, Bita, and some other places as I speak to you.
We also understand the enormous pains faced by Nigerians because we're also Nigerians. But we understand that this cannot be addressed through violence and that the only way to do is for all hands to be on deck.
Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief has addressed the nation, and I can assure Nigerians that a lot is being done by the government to address these complaints and these grievances.
The IGP moves to swiftly quell concerns about the use of excessive force as alleged by videos circulating on social media.
The police and the military, indeed no other security agency involved in the management of this protest has deployed excessive use of force. Instead, what we had was attack on security agents during the protest.
For the DSS, we have continued to gather appropriate intelligence.
Any person who is of interest in terms of these activities going on right now, we will make sure that as they come in, they are handed over to the necessary authority.
But because we have the powers of prosecution, we have secured a lot of convictions.
The issue of food inflation in our markets, food security in the long run. And I'd like to let Nigerians know that there has been a lot that is going on to address these issues that are related.
Upholding peace, unity, the rule of law, and ultimately Nigeria's sovereignty, issues on the table here at the Defense Headquarters, where the Joint Security Press Conference addressed the ongoing nationwide protest. The Joint Security Conference also commends those who have quit the protest and embraced dialogue. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has cautioned people joining the nationwide protest in the state against being involved in violent attacks, as that will only lead to the setback of the nation's social economy. The governor's remark shortly after holding an emergency security council meeting at the government house. Bauchi, Awal Abdullahi reports.
This emergency security council meeting followed the recent attack by some hoodlums on public and private property who hid behind the continued nationwide protest in Azare town of Katagun local government area. Governor Bala Mohammed, while expressing dismay over the activities of some groups of protesters, also advised for proper understanding of the effort put in place by the government at all levels toward addressing the economic hardship facing in the country.
It is not about political party, it is not about federal government, it is not about the subnational or local authorities, it is about governance at all levels, and if you segregate it down, it is about leadership at all levels, even the traditional rulers and what have you. So we have heeded the call, but certainly we have taken very firm and very serious measure to make sure that this thing does not happen by the declaration of curfew 24 hours in Azare, and making sure we are going to assure all the citizens and people of Bauchi of their safety and security.
The meeting was attended by head of security agencies, religious and traditional leaders, alongside other relevant stakeholders. In Bauchi, Awal Abdullahi, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. More reports when we return. Thanks for being there. Now let's join our correspondent, Oyeyemi Ajayi, to keep us up to speed with the DCM BC Kazim's lecture. Yemi, can you keep us up to speed? What do you think the DCM BC Kazim would reflect in his lecture?
Now, actually, today, as we know, is the 11th Valedictory lecture series delivered by the former Deputy Corps Marshal, that's BC Kazim. We know that he has worked in the capacity as the CPO, that's the Corps Public Education Officer, for years. And this is the experience he intends sharing today. And the theme is all about resilience, loyalty, and decay and grace, how I served under 3 Corps Marshals successfully. And with me here is him as well to talk more about the event. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Should I say congratulations to you?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What's the essence or what brings about this theme today?
Well, it's to relive my experience. It's equally to let people understand that you can grow in the job. I happen to be the only person that have started as assistant route commander, that's 1 star, and gained prominence to deputy corps marshal. And apart from this, I worked under 7 corps marshals, but worked closely with 3 corps marshals. And you know, in military and paramilitary parlance, the style is that the moment a corps marshal comes, the first person to be dislodged is the spokesperson, the PRO. But this has never happened to me till I left the Corps Public Education Office. I was the Deputy Corps Public Education Officer to Shitashidoka Chief, Shitashidoka, from where I moved as Corps Public Education Officer under Oyeyemi and also Dauda Biu. It's an experience that I want to share to let people know that loyalty, resilience and grace can take you anywhere. Some people believe it's juju. Some people tell you, say, the man is charming them. But I want people to realize that if you are loyal to the system, if you are resilient, and if you are hardworking, and you have grace of God, you continue to excel.
In one way, if you are to talk, you've talked about grace, loyalty, and resilience. Okay, here comes the Corps Marshal himself. Let's just go in and see to talk more. Good morning, Corps Marshal.
Morning. Good morning, Yemi.
Yeah, we all know that today is about the 11th Valedictory session of lecture series, talking about BC Kazim delivering a lecture. Basically, what are you saying about BC Kazim?
Well, it's a tradition in FRC to honor our very senior officers on retirement. Deputy Corps Marshal BC, has been versatile. He was once a personal assistant to former Corps Marshal and even to the founding father of FRC, Aguloi. And he has been in so many commands, so many faculty of FRC. He was in operation, in protocol, in PRS, policy research and statistics, so many places. And, very diligent, committed, loyal, and he has served the Corps. He has served the Corps to the point that we are very proud of him, very, very proud of him.
Now, what are some of the lessons you think that any CPO or any junior officer can learn from BC Kazim?
Well, first is the contact. He has enormous, massive contact across the nation and outside the nation. And then loyalty, and then objectivity, steadfastness, and then also committed to do his job at any time you call him, no matter the time. These are the things that I think the younger officers in CPO, public education, should be able to emulate. And not only them, all the other junior officers that are growing should be able to emulate their loyalty and dedication to duty. He's an upright officer that we're proud of every time and any time. We're proud of him.
Thank you very much. I think we've heard it all from the CPO, the former CPO, and the Corps Marshal himself. I don't know if there are other questions you want to ask BC Kazim, Jide.
All right. Just one more question. After this now, what next for BC Kazim?
What next? After retirement, after this valedictory session, what next?
As we all believe in grace, I believe in grace of God, and I know it's going to open way for me. I'm not tired. I'm retiring. I'm not tired, and I know that even the government can still find me useful one way or the other in service. So I'm ready to serve the Federal Republic of Nigeria in any form.
All right, Jide. He said he's not tired, though he's retiring now, but he's not tired. So that's left to him. Any other question today?
No, that'll be all for now. Many thanks, Oyeyemi Ajayi, our correspondent, for keeping us up to speed and for your input. Many thanks. Moving on, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of the following Nigerians as Federal Commissioners of the Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. The President expects the new Federal Commissioners to demonstrate absolute fidelity to the nation in the discharge of their duties. The officers are Linda Nkechi Oti Abia, Akpan Imo Efyong Akwa Ibom, Enefe Ekene Anambra, Professor Steve Ugba Benue, Enyonsa Cross River, Arurere Egawove, Delta, Nduka Henry, Awuregu, Ebonyi, Victor Eboigbe, Edo, Honorable Wumi Ogunlola Ekiti, Honorable Ozo Obumreme Obodogo, Enugu. Others are Kabir Ibrahim Mashi Katsina, Honorable Adamu Fanda Kano, Dr. Kunle Wright, Lagos, Aliu Almakura Abdulkadri Nasarawa, Bako Shetima, Niger, Samuel Durojai, Ogun, Nathaniel Aji Telego, Ondo, Honorable Saad Bello Ibrahim, Plateau, Modu Aji Juluri, Yobe, Bello Rabiu Garba, Zamfara, and Mohammed Kabir Usman, Gombe. The appointments are subject to confirmation by the Senate. President Bola Tinubu has also approved the appointment of 7 qualified Nigerians to head strategic agencies and governments under the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to facilitate the need relief to Nigerians and ensure the effectiveness of humanitarian and social development programs. Badamasi Lawal is now the Chief Executive Officer of National Social Investment Program Agency. He holds a doctorate degree in education as he previously served as a commissioner in Katsina State. Others are Fumilola Olotu, Program Manager, National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office, Aisha Alubankudi, Program Manager, Grant for Vulnerable Groups, Princess Adiremi Adeboali, Program Manager, Homegrown School Feeding, Abdullahi Al-Hassan Imam, Program Manager, National Cash Transfer Office, Ayuba Gufwang, Executive Secretary, National Commission for People with Disabilities, and Lami Binta Adamu Bello, Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. The new heads of these agencies and programs are expected to discharge their functions of the office with utmost integrity and diligence so as to ensure that Nigerians, especially vulnerable groups, are the exclusive and direct beneficiaries of President Tinubu's administration reconfigured welfare programs. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, alongside the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, will jointly implement the President's directive on expanding areas under cultivation to boost the nation's food security. President Tinubu stated this in his nationwide broadcast on Sunday that about 10 million hectares will be made available for production. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
Issue of availability and affordability of food has been at the forefront since the beginning of the current administration. President Bola Tinubu, apart from declaring a state of emergency on food security in 2023, has also directed land clearing for the expansion of areas under cultivation. The target is 10 million hectares in partnership with state governors. This led to a meeting between the Ministries of Agriculture and Food Security and that of Water and Sanitation.
We have set up a committee, a working committee, that will look into all the issues that are there where we can leverage on the abundant water resources and an abundant irrigation land available to the Federal Ministry of Water Resources for the emphasis of Mr. President's food security.
So that is why we are here today, and we are trying our best to put everything that we need, the water facilities, the mechanized facilities, the technical facilities that we have, so that together we can have that joint committee to boost food production in Nigeria.
The Ministry of Water and Sanitation will provide water and other irrigation facilities nationwide.
Nigerians will see the impact of this initiative within the next 6 months.
before Christmas, I am sure with this collaboration of giving 2 weeks to do reports, operating government and private sector marriage, Nigeria, it will be a different ball game by Christmas.
With this intervention, it is hoped that farmers will be able to produce food all year round, while quality and affordable food will be available for Nigerians. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has inaugurated a world-class oxygen plant that will cater for children with low birth weight and other respiratory conditions in Rivers State. Osinachi Samuel reports that the project, which is in collaboration with the federal government and United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, is the first of its kind in the region.
The medical oxygen plant was built and installed by UNICEF in collaboration with the federal government of Nigeria, Canadian government and IHS Towers, a huge investment directed at Rivers State. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, while inaugurating the facility, lauded the federal government and other partners for finding Rivers State safe for such a huge investment. He also called on the host local governments to protect state and national assets in their domain.
And I believe that the only reason why this project was allocated to Rivers State was because of our investment in healthcare. And I want to assure you that we are going to protect this project.
The oxygen plant has a production capacity of about 135 cylinders of oxygen within 24 hours. What that means is that the facility has up to 720,000 liters of oxygen produced by the plant on a daily basis.
It means that 100 children with severe pneumonia can receive oxygen from this plant to save their lives, and up to 50 to 60 adults with severe respiratory illness such as COVID-19 can benefit from the oxygen that is produced on a daily basis.
For the international partners, Rivers State is a safe haven and home for medical investment.
And this is essential so that Rivers State makes sure that you have children who can have an opportunity to live, who can have an opportunity to thrive, and who can have an opportunity to develop.
The establishment of the world-class medical oxygen in Rivers State is in line with Governor Siminalayi Fubara's determination to ensure that Rivers people have access to the best of medical services. From Eleme, Osinachi Samuel, NTA News.
Another break beckons. The news continues shortly.